Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Midwest Contractor, episode 2. We're essentially picking up right where we left off in episode 1. We just finished our wheat harvest, and I did end up emptying the harvester and selling all of the wheat. We ended up with $24,500, and as you can see from what's in front of me here, I've already spent a good bit of it, all but $3,400. Just getting this stuff strapped up here because we're gonna go ahead and get going with our contracting business. As you can see up there at the top, I've already accepted two fertilizing contracts. I'm sorry, both of which are literally right next to the shop. So I figure we can knock those out in what's left of today and make a few dollars. And I also purchased the net wrap that we need for our baler so that we can bale the straw that we have in the field from our wheat harvest. So let's go ahead and get fired up here and head on back to the shop. I'm gonna let Autodrive take us, but we'll just go ahead and ride along. So finally got episode 1 edited and uploaded, and hopefully everything worked out okay. I came to appreciate the fact that I have never edited video before, as it took me probably an inordinate amount of time, significantly much more than it really should have. But we got it done, and off we go. I did manage to pick up the WMXL fertilizer spreader. It's got a nice big wide width, 42 meters, almost like cheating. Hopefully the Ford will be able to carry it around without any trouble, but I guess when we get back to the yard, well, we'll see. I notice when Autodrive is doing the driving, the mirrors, for whatever reason, don't extend out. I guess the truck is sensing that there's nobody in it. For a second there, I thought we were just going to blow right through that stop sign. Well, we kind of did anyway. That's all right. We're almost back. I think first things first, we'll go ahead and get the baler started in the field and get that project underway. Oh, you know what? Actually not. I think maybe what we'll do instead is go ahead and knock out these fertilizing contracts. They're not going to take long, and that straw's not going anywhere. The weather's good. I guess if we don't get that straw baled today, that isn't necessarily the end of the world. So I think we'll just go ahead and get to work on our fertilizing contracts. Okay, tight fit. I think we'll use the International instead of the Ford. See what happens when we get this thing on here. We might end up doing a wheelie. Ford has an option for that I can actually put a front weight on. This one has a front weight, but it's not very substantial. All right, let's see if we can screw this up. There we go. All right. I'll go ahead and fill it up with fertilizer while we're here. I really like these this mod that sells these seeds, fertilizer, food in these 5,000 liter pallets. Interestingly enough, they only charge $1,000 for 5,000 liters, so I guess that's a little cheaty. But needless to say, it does kind of work out well. So I typically prefer those to big bags. Okay, let's see. One headland, smooth, clockwise. Don't skip any rows. Field margin I'm going to set to 2.2. It does tend to waste a little fertilizer outside the field boundaries, but when it makes the turn, it covers those corners. I guess I'm being a little OCD about that, but I always appreciate it when when my equipment doesn't miss those rounded corners. Okay, let's save this. I do take the time to save all of my courses, typically by function and field number, so that they can be easily recalled. I know it doesn't take much to generate a course, but it just tends to make my life a little bit easier. All right, so this is only going to take us about 7 minutes. So I guess we'll go ahead and ride along and get this done. 42 meter spread, and it should go fairly quickly. So as I was sitting here thinking about different contracts and what to do, I was thinking about some of the things within this game that I really enjoy doing, and some of the things that I just rather would not do. And I guess I would love to hear from you too. I mean, what are your favorite chores, your favorite tasks? What things do you enjoy? I personally enjoy the more traditional field work like this, or tillage work, or the harvesting, the planting, so on and so forth. I think just in general, my two least favorite tasks within FarmSim would be forestry work and root crops. And I can't say which would be one and which would be two. I think they would be 1 and 1A. I typically don't enjoy doing either, as much as I do enjoy watching survival series or start from scratch series. I know most of them start out that way, right? They start out with a tractor, a trailer, and a chainsaw, and then build up from there. And I've done my own playthrough like that as well. Not so much with FarmSim 22, but I did in 17 as well as 19. And frankly, it was agonizing. But I will admit there is a measure of satisfaction that comes with starting from basically zero and ending up with a nice mega built out farm. So yeah, I'd like to hear from you. You know, what are your favorite things to do within the game, and what are your not so favorite things to do within the game? You know, and I think something else too that I'm always curious about is how people like to start their playthroughs or start their games. You know, I know we typically have the option of starting in new farmer mode, where we're given $100,000 a piece of property and some equipment, and go from there. But I've found that to be rather well, just not very exciting. So I guess I typically like to come up with my own start, however that might be. Whether it involves maybe starting at a different starting location than what you get in New Farmer, starting with different starting equipment than what you get, different fields, so on and so forth. But I do find that a lot of times I like to mix it up. And again, I'd like to hear from you. You know, what's your favorite way of starting out? Okay, well, we're going to let this guy go ahead and continue on with this, and we're gonna jump out here and run back over to the farm or to the contracting yard. I'm going to get that net wrap off that trailer and see about getting it loaded up in our baler when we're ready. Let's see. Oh, I didn't cover this when I was going through our equipment walkthrough, but yeah, we have this this old Massey Ferguson skid steer. Pretty simple, pretty plain, but hey, it'll come in handy. So why not, right? I'm gonna drop this bucket over here and pick up the pallet forks. These things are always such a joy to operate. I'm constantly and forever oversteering them. One of the reasons I tend to prefer things like auto load, as you'll soon see, is I simply just don't do well with with these things. Even though the mechanics of the game have come, oh man, have come so far in the last 2 or 3 versions of the game, it's still a challenge for me. My visual acuity on top of my dexterity, the combination just doesn't ever seem to line up well for me. Like I'll be fortunate here if I don't just go ahead and knock this thing right off the trailer, which is possible. No, there we go, as I said. Okay. That was another opportunity for some editing taking place. Alrighty. I think we'll grab the Ford and connect to the baler and get that loaded up while we're at it. Actually, I'm really anxious to use this baler. I have tested it. I've played with it a little bit, but I've not used it in a playthrough yet. It's a pretty nice mod. The only thing I ran into when I first downloaded it and tested it was it had an incredibly narrow pickup. In fact, so narrow, I mean, I frankly struggled to be able to pick up the entire windrow. So I ended up having to go into the i3D file and edit the pickup width so that it can will get everything. I didn't set it to anything ridiculous, so it's not going to pick up, a 16-meter swath. All right, let's see here. Am I able to Let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, is fill it. Okay then. Alrighty, let's see, what did we do here? Well, no wonder. How about this? I bought twine. Fabulous. Nice job, Scott. Okay. Well, that doesn't help us much. Alrighty then. Tell you what, I'm going to need to get some net wrap. We need to finish up that fertilizing contract over next door. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to take care of this, and I will be right back with you once I have the appropriate materials. Okay. We've got that straightened out, and we have us a pallet of net wrap. As it turned out, it was probably my little twine fiasco there was probably a blessing in disguise, because as soon as I exited the game and went back out, I realized that that entire first segment that I recorded, you got a great dose of me talking, but there wasn't an ounce of game audio. And I have no idea why, because the minute that I went back out, double checked my settings, and hit the record button again, everything was back to the way it should be. So, I don't get it. I guess that's how you get me, warts and all. Anyway, we have our net wrap, and we should be good to go. As you can see, we completed the first fertilizing contract across the street there. That's at 100%. We can collect that, but before we do, we'll just go ahead and finish this other one because it's right behind us here. So we'll jump in the old International. I want to check one more thing. Okay. And we'll head over to field 46, which, just as it happens, is right behind us here. And again, getting ahead of myself, we've got a long way to go, $770 after my net wrap purchase. But this field back here that we're just about to start fertilizing, looks like it'd be a nice natural addition to the farm. It's a pretty good sized field, and it's easily accessible. So as I mentioned, I may want to convert this soybean field over here to the right into more of a yard area, and perhaps when we have enough money, we can purchase this one back here and as a replacement for it. And as it happens, it appears as though it might be a soybean field as well. How nice would that be? Okay, we get out here and get Courseplay set up, and we'll get going. And go. Okay, it's not going to take us long, 10 minutes. Perfect. Alrighty then, let's head back up here. I think maybe we'll go ahead and get the truck out of the way. Actually, let's see if I can get around here. Put the gooseneck back where it lives. Moment of truth. Let's see if we can load this baler up with the essential ingredient here. My menu up. And how about that? Our refill baler. Gee. It's amazing what happens when you have the right stuff, huh? Okay. Let's go back out and find our course. Okay, 43, that's our field. Hey, you'll notice in here I've got a lot of courses saved, and you'll notice that I've got different harvest header sizes and so on and so forth, and actually plows. The reason being is because, as I think I mentioned, I actually started a little bit of a playthrough on this map on my own, just to kind of get the feel for it and decide whether or not it was the map that I wanted to use for this series. And as I got to working on it, and I built and saved all these courses, and I built out my Autodrive network, which, as you can see, is fairly extensive. I've got a lot of fields in here. So as I was building that out on that playthrough, I got to thinking to myself, man, I really don't want to reinvent the wheel when I get into when I start recording for this playthrough. So I simply copied the Autodrive and the Courseplay data out of one game save and into another, and frankly it was really easy to do. If that's something that you'd be interested in doing, if you don't already know how to do it, please let me know. I'll be happy to post some instructions, or maybe even do a short video. But it definitely, if you like to use the same map for different playthroughs, and you use Courseplay and Autodrive, it does save a lot of time when you just simply transfer over what you already have. All right, so this should be pretty good to go. We'll get this started as soon as we get our fertilizing contract done. In the meantime, I suppose we could put our harvester away. Oh, another mod that I absolutely love. I think it's incredibly useful. Let me get over here where I've got a white background and you can see it. If you look down by the fuel gauge in the lower right hand corner, you'll notice right at the bottom of the fuel gauge, all of a sudden you'll see a circle with a red circle with a line through it that appears and disappears when I hit Control T. And that is a mod called Park Vehicle. And I absolutely love that mod because, if you get to the point where you're like me and you end up with a ton of vehicles, a lot of tractors, and you want to get to a specific one, obviously the simplest, the easiest way to do that is just to tab between vehicles. Well, if you've got 20, 30 vehicles, you're just tabbing forever. But when you install the Park Vehicle mod and you engage it with, as I said there, with Control T, and you get that red circle with a line through it, when you start tabbing through your active vehicles, it will bypass anything that is parked. So that way you don't have to spend all of your time just tabbing endlessly and aimlessly through vehicles and then end up tabbing right past probably the one that you do want. The only downside to it, you definitely need to remember to unpark it when you get it out and start using it, because the moment that you forget to do that, you try to tab into it, you'll go right past it. But anyway, it's called Park Vehicle. All right, let's see. We're 53% on our contract up there. So we're over halfway done. I'm going to take this net wrap over here and see if I can store it in our. Oh, there it goes. Great, excellent. So now we have net wrap in there. At least we should have net wrap in there. Net wrap in there and twine in there. Yeah, pallet of twine. And a pallet of net wrap. Great. The twine, obviously you can't return it, so I've kept it. I do anticipate at some point Speaking of tabbing past the vehicle, I have this skid steer set to park, and I couldn't tab back to it if you noticed. Anyway, I'm going to keep that twine because I do at some point expect to get a square baler, and we're going to need that anyway. Alright, let's see here. I guess we can go ahead and put this bad boy away. I think we're done with it for now. Alrighty, I kind of like this. I kind of like this shed that's here. This was placed here as part of the by the map maker, but this thing is useless and in the way. I do kind of wish it wasn't there, along with this wall. Open things up a little bit more. Nothing kind of more frustrating than having these really nice buildings but not being able to utilize all the space. Okay, let's find our fertilizing machine. Here we go. 63%. 64%. Okay, almost there. 5 minutes and we should be done. Oh, I had mentioned in the first video about how I kind of tend to prefer smaller content creators, and a couple that I personally enjoy, whom I like to follow, I will link in the description below. First gentleman's name is Crustu. I followed him ever since he started creating content for Farming Simulator 22 way back when the game came out, and he just surpassed 1,500 subscribers, and he keeps talking repeatedly about how he never thought he would ever see that. And the one thing I love about Crustu, he's so much fun to watch, and he's so incredibly entertaining. Part of the reason why is because he's incredibly impatient, right? So if things aren't moving fast enough, he finds a way to speed things up. And Crustu never committed to a plan that he was ever committed to, meaning that hey, if something's not working, he's not afraid to change gears. He loves his series to develop and progress rapidly, and boy, when they aren't, he's changing things up. So he's a pretty lively character, and like most small content creators, yeah, I mean, he lives through the pains of the game, kind of like me buying twine instead of NetWrap, and he shares it all. But anyway, he's a really good content creator. Something he did recently, he encouraged a bunch of smaller content creators to join him in a 200 horsepower challenge that took place on the map, I believe it was Calmlands, and I was shocked. There were, I think at one point there were maybe a dozen or more small content creators who joined him in this thing, and basically the rules were you couldn't use any vehicle that was any more than 200 horsepower, and it was pretty interesting, some of the creative things that some people came up with to work on that map, which, by the way, is, if you've never played on that map, it's exceptionally hilly. So 200 horsepower when you're pulling anything, it is kind of a bit underpowered on that particular map. Another content creator that I follow, that I find very, very entertaining, and I find him so entertaining because he is so incredibly thoughtful and he's so incredibly creative. Again, I've got a link in the description below, is Northern Farm Sim. I've decided he likes to punish himself. He loves the whole start from scratch, start from nothing scenario, and he always plays on hard economy. He doesn't even bother with normal economy, and he's willing to do everything himself and suffer mightily and struggle mightily. He incidentally took part in the 200 horsepower challenge that Crustu threw out there, and that challenge, in that particular challenge, the participants played on easy economy, and Northern Farm Sim was just so ecstatic about how easy everything was, and needless to say, for the guy who, as I said, struggles mightily, I think he was the first one to $1 million, and he was there relatively quickly. But again, two great guys. I would encourage you to check out their channels if you're not currently familiar with them. Check them out. They've got some great content, way better than the stuff you're going to find here. Okay, we're getting there, 93%. Go right along inside here for a minute. Again, love the simplicity of these older tractors. But hey, look, we've got air conditioning up there. How about that? And wow, if I'm not mistaken, I can't tell whether that's a cassette or an 8-track. There's probably a good number of people nodding their head when I mention an 8-track, and just an equal number of people saying, what's an 8-track? If you don't know what an 8-track is, go ask your parents. Okay, 96%, we're almost there. I always find it interesting how the contract will hit 100% and be completed, but yet there will still be a lap or two to go in the field. And I guess it's my OCD, but I can't bear to leave it unfinished, even though I could at that point, just right here, we could drive off the field, shut off the spreader, drive off the field, and go collect our money. But I guess I don't want to disappoint my virtual customer, so we'll make sure that we go ahead and complete the contract. This is great. We're going to have a few dollars here to spend as soon as we collect this, and we still have our straw to bale and sell. I would like to get that all baled and potentially sold today. I know August is not the best month to be selling straw, but at this point we kind of could use the money. We don't really need a whole lot, but I would like to start upgrading equipment as soon as possible. Not the least of which is that disc / cultivator. Cultivating contracts, as I said, are pretty lucrative. We're not going to be able to do any with that little thing, or the ones that we're going to get are going to be pretty insignificant. Okay, so we're all set. We can head on back and collect our fortune. I speak a lot about favorite mods. This fertilizer spreader is one of my favorite mods. The usage on it is pretty reasonable. I mean, it can burn through lime, but not as fast as what some of the other spreaders do. And as you'll notice, I mean, we just did 2 harvesting contracts, and we still have 77% left in the hopper. Now, having said that, you know, when we're fertilizing our own fields, or if I use precision farming, I know that it does go through it quite a bit faster. But doing these contracts, you can do quite a few fields before you have to refill. You know, speaking of this, I'll take a look at this field right here and see what we've got for our own fields. I didn't even bother to take a peek. And by the way, I do not have precision farming turned on for this series. I do enjoy precision farming. I just thought with everything else going on, it would be significantly easier just not to have to really think about it. All right, so here's our fields. Let's see where we're at here. Oh my, okay, so this field that's plowed is fertilized about 50%. Let's shut these other 2 off here. Okay, so that one needs lime. I'm going to guarantee you it probably has no fertilization, so yeah, and this other one. So I think at this point we're going to run through this soybean field here and get it fertilized while we still can. I don't think it would do us any good to try to fertilize that right there right now, but definitely would benefit us to take care of these soybeans here. Alrighty. And calculate. Now that's going to be real complicated, isn't it? And you can see kind of what the spread width is on this thing. It's almost like cheating. And I know I'm probably going to get a comment from somebody telling me I am cheating. Well, if you think I'm cheating now, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till you see how I load my bales. Alrighty. Yeah, it looks like this side of this field drops off a little bit. It's got a little waviness to it, a little hilly. I might have to do some landscaping and leveling if I want to turn this into a yard. If you're a fan of this game, you know, it's no secret if you watch content on YouTube, you know, all the talk for the last 3-4 months has been, you know, what is Giants going to do with Farming Simulator 22? You know, are they going to ride it out for another year, or can we expect an announcement for Farming Simulator 25? And while there doesn't seem to be a consensus or any unanimity when it comes to an opinion as to what Giants is going to do, I think the general consensus is that we're probably looking at an announcement fairly soon by Giants that we can expect Farming Simulator 25. And I'll tell you, I'm curious to know how you guys feel about that. I personally, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, and I'm in the decided minority, but I feel like moving on from Farming Simulator 22 at this point is literally throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I noticed this in FS19. It was into its third year and really hitting full stride when Giants announced that they were coming out with FS22, and you know, it was kind of a shame because, you know, a lot of the things that went on in or that came out late in FS19, primarily the productions, you know, had a significant bearing on the structure of the game as we see it today. You know, there was a monumental shift from FS19 to 22, from kind of the old equipment grind as it had been forever to kind of this production grind now that we face. But unfortunately, you know, after that announcement was made, all these great things that were happening, these fabulous maps and these incredibly innovative mods that were coming out, you know, all just ground to a stop or a halt. And I fear that's kind of where we're at now. I just watched the Farm Sim guy do a mod review or preview from some stuff that I think it's LSFM modding has come out with. And I mean, these are just some incredible mods, and if you haven't seen that video, I would encourage you to take a look at it. But it's a GPS system that actually displays the mini map of whatever map you're on inside the tractor on the display. That's just one of them. There's another mod that allows you to inflate and deflate tractor tires for a more realistic grip. Um, there's another one that offers some class harvesters with really unique paint and skin on them. And as I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is exactly where we were with FS19. We're sitting here entering the third year, or in the third year. Everything is really starting to take off. I mean, I think the game has just hit its prime, and we're looking at the possibility of starting all over again. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? I'd be curious to know. All right, we're baling straw at a whopping 6 miles an hour. As I think I might have mentioned, when I downloaded this mod, I noticed that it had a real narrow pickup, so I went into the i3D file and I increased the size of the pickup on it. And I also noticed that it was running, when it was running down the field, it was doing it at about 19-20 miles an hour, which isn't realistic. So I went in and I slowed it down, but I think maybe I was a little overzealous. Perhaps 9 miles an hour is maybe a little more appropriate for what it should be, because this is going to take a little bit to get done, obviously. But in the meantime, we can probably start picking up some of these bales. And like I said, if you thought I was cheating with that fertilizer spreader, wait till you see me pick up bales. I absolutely love this Ford mod. I have struggled to find good Ford mods. This is I think the one that I've enjoyed the most. But even this one has its own issues. As I think I mentioned, that International that we just used for fertilizing is one of my favorite tractors, my favorite mods. Just think it's really well balanced. And for whatever reason with the Ford mods, it just seems like they never sound right, they're never geared right, the transmissions are kind of a little fussy. This one doesn't have any of those problems. I think it sounds great, I think the transmission's great, it's got plenty of power, it steers great, it drives great. My problem with it is really more the visuals. It doesn't just get dirty like you see here, it just turns completely brown. And then once the wear on it, once it starts to wear and all the paint comes off of it, it turns completely silver. So I'm having to constantly mess with it to keep it from looking incredibly unappealing. And I don't know what that's going to do, because I'm trying out a new mod called Realistic Vehicle Damage. So we're going to get to a point with some of this equipment where it's going to require maintenance. If it doesn't get it, it's going to start having random problems, like a starter will go out, or the battery will go dead, or any number of things can happen. If you leave the lights on, you're going to run the battery down. And when something like that happens and the vehicle has to get fixed, it's going to be out of service for a good bit of time, probably at least one game day, or maybe more, depending on how extensive the damage is. And any time that any vehicle service needs to be performed, it's also going to be out of service for part of or most of an entire in-game day. Alright, we'll jump out here, let that thing do its thing. I think we'll now here's the million-dollar question. Can I get this through the door? Oh yeah. Navigate this obstacle course. Set it down back here by our fertilizer. For whatever reason, these pallets of fertilizer that I said I really, really like, they won't go into my rack storage over there. So that's fine. We'll just store them inside. Alrighty. Let's drive over here and hook up to this nice snazzy Bale trailer of ours. This is another one of those mods I get a kick out of. Somebody really put a lot of work into this thing, you know, to make it look all run down. I just love stuff like this. Kind of like that truck that's underneath that lean-to over there. All right, operating position. Okay, another question for everybody. So are you a fan of auto load, or do you consider it to be somewhat sinful and sacrilegious to automatically load bales? You know, I guess on some level I struggle with the notion too, because I do like to play as realistic as reasonably possible, but as much as I say that, the minute I'm faced with being inconvenienced, yeah, I'm all about cheating. One thing I do struggle with is unrealistic trailers. You know, trailers that hold 250,000 liters of stuff. Yeah, it's just not a thing. I mean, to me, that's part of the logistics of the game, right? I mean, having to cart things and transport things and move things around. One thing I have toyed with, I know there are a couple of bale spikes that you can buy that actually are kind of auto loading themselves, so you can drive around the field and you can pick up bales and have a stack of bales, and I guess maybe the compromise would be, you know, auto loading the bales on the bale spike and then driving back to your auto loading trailer and setting them down so that they can be auto loaded onto your trailer, so that at least you simulate the chore, the task of having to run around the field and pick up the bales. I like this net wrap stuff. It's pretty cool. See, there again, you know, I'm all about using mods like that provide realism, but see, that doesn't inconvenience me. Oh, unless of course I buy twine instead of net wrap. Okay, we'll stop here and do a little bookkeeping. We've got those 2 contracts we collected. What do you say we go in here and collect those bad boys? Turn the details on. How about that? So yeah, 18, 12 ounce. That's a good deal. 20. So it's about, you know, $30,000 that we got there. Yeah, absolutely. And it cost us a little bit of fertilizer, but as I said, I'm buying the cheap fertilizer. So we made out pretty good on that deal. Let's see what else is out here. Oh wow, look at this. See, this is what I was talking about. You know, a nice big cultivating contract, 52,000. That'd really be nice to have. Where's Field 8? What does that look like? Just out of curiosity. It's going to be over here on this side of the map, I believe. Yeah, right here. That's a pretty good sized field, right across the street from the shop. All right. What else is out here? So more fertilizing contracts. Obviously, we could pick up these things all day long, and as I said, you know, if we picked them all up and just went to town, we'd have a ton of money in the bank at the end of the day. But we're going to try to be as reasonable about this as possible. There's some interesting, you know, so I'm wondering, could we handle maybe some of these? We could obviously handle that one. Field 50A, what does that look like? Let's see, I believe that's up here. It's over here. Yeah, we might be able to handle that with our harvester. That's probably about as big of a field as we would dare tackle. But we might could do that one. So yeah, no, we're not going to be doing any of those. I was kind of hoping, to be honest with you, I was kind of hoping to see some plowing contracts. I really like those. Those pay well, and with our little 5.2 meter plow over there, yeah, we could easily do one of those. Maybe the next day we'll be able to pick one of those up. Okay, well, I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and pick up the rest of the bales that are on the field. Don't imagine there are too many. And rather than just talk you to death while this baler runs endlessly around this field, I will step away and be back in just a second, or at least a second for you, and we'll hopefully have the field all baled up and see if we can make a few dollars from the bales that we've made. All right, I'll be back with you in a second. All right, welcome back in, everybody. We are almost through with our baling here. Just about done. As you can see, we've produced 21 bales to this point. Not too bad. We'll get this finished. We'll load up, fill up what space we have left on our bale trailer, and see what we can get for a load or two of straw. And then maybe we'll do a few housekeeping chores and wrap up this episode. And then finally, mercifully, advance on to September. I just looked at the stats from the first video that I posted, and I'm sad to say I'm still talking to myself. So no one has managed to find this treasure trove of useless information yet, but. We shall endeavor to persevere, right? Okay. Great, there we go. All done. I'd say the baler did pretty good for its initial go-around. I still think maybe I might have it set a little bit slow. I might have to speed it up to about 9 miles an hour. But it looks like the pickup width that I had edited it to seems to work nice. It missed a few spots, but nothing major, and probably nothing worth bothering to go back and grab. So I think we'll go ahead and we may as well just go ahead and put our baler away, right? Get to watch my mad backing up skills, and probably offer me another opportunity here to edit some footage. I really do like this little shed. It's part of the AGI pack. It was a pricey little thing by comparison to sheds, but you know, it's just so many sheds that we can download and put into the game that just aren't realistic. You know, $10,000 for a 100 by 60. Okay, well, let's park that, jump in our International, and load up with bales. Not quite sure what I want to do with this field, but looking at the calendar, it's going to be September. You know, I know that sorghum and Sorghum and oats sell really good December, January time frame, so it would be kind of nice, I think, to try to get something in these two fields that we have here. Why not, right? I believe alfalfa is a crop that is supported on this map, and I was thinking that that field over there, the one that's currently plowed, maybe we put a crop in it, and after that turn it over again and put some alfalfa in it. I think alfalfa hay probably sells pretty good, and if it does, that might be something that nice, easy, sustainable crop, and we're not having to spend a whole bunch of time tending to our own fields. All we've got to do is mow it, ted it, rake it, and bale it. Looks like we're going to get a good number of these bales on here first go round. Find out. Let's see if I can snake between here. Yeah, run into both of them. No, we're full. 17. And I believe we had 21 total, so not too bad. We might just take these 17 and sell them and pick up what's left here and just stick it in our bale storage for now. Tell you what, let's check and see what we've got here for sale prices. I think there's only one place really to sell bales on this map, and it's the animal dealer. But we'll take a peek anyway and see. Straw. Oh, sawmill. Interesting. Okay. Haven't sold at the sawmill. Don't even know where the sawmill is. Let's see where it's at there. Tag place. Up there, okay. Oh, not terribly far away. Yeah, why not? Haven't been up there, let's go ahead and drive up there. I'll tell you what, I will see you when we get to the sawmill. Okay, and we're almost to the sawmill. Let's see how this works. I have no idea how much we're going to get for this stuff. Like I said earlier, August is not the best time to necessarily be selling bales, but hey, we'll take what we can get at this point. Alrighty then. Moment of truth. $5,300. Not too bad. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and send this back to the shop, and we'll wrap up our episode and our day. While we're waiting on our tractor to get back, we do have those few bales still left on the field. We'll pick up and stick those in our bale storage. But while we're waiting on him to get back, we'll go ahead and clean things up here a little bit. It's after 5 o'clock. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry. Put the tractor up, park up the truck. Well, we can at least afford a pressure washer. We'll see what else we need. I probably wouldn't hurt to buy some lime for these fields if we're going to be turning them over here. All right, our tractor and our trailer are back. We'll jump in here real quick. What's this? Oh, that's nice. Guy in his Sunday best there. Nah, I don't think he got too dirty. run out here real quick and pick up these last few bales that are on the field and deliver them to our bale storage. And we can sell them at another time when we can fill up a load. Alright, I believe that's it. I really enjoy these this automatic bale storage that we have available to us in this game. Once again, handling these bales is just simply now one of my favorite chores, and it's nice to be able to just pull up to something, unload them, and have them neatly stacked inside of a building, because trust me, if I were stacking them, they would be anything but neat, and that would probably take up an entire episode, you watching me struggle mightily to stack bales. Okay, unload bales. And there we go. All right. Well, folks, that'll wrap up episode number 2 of the Midwest Contractor. And like I said, I think at this point we can finally plan on moving ahead to September and actually getting some contracting work done. I want to thank you all for stopping by, for sticking around. If you like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like what you saw, please leave me a comment and let me know why. And by all means, if you're so inclined and you'd like to enjoy future comment, please consider subscribing.